You can be a millionaire founder and still completely broke. Not financially broke, but broke in time, leverage, and freedom. And the reason your business won't scale past where it is right now, you're still selling everything yourself. Everyone thinks that doing all the selling makes them successful. In reality, it turns you into the most expensive employee in your own company. I've built and worked with multiple $100 million sales teams, and this is the pattern that kills growth every single time. The hardest part isn't learning how to step out of the sale. It's admitting that the thing you're proud of is the exact thing holding your business hostage. So in this video, I'm going to break down 3 reasons founders stay stuck as the closer and the shifts you need to make if you want a sales machine that performs without you in every single conversation. Point 1, you're addicted to the validation of closing. Let's start with that one nobody wants to admit. You're not just protecting revenue. You're addicted to validation of closing because closing a deal feels amazing. It's a dopamine hit. It's proof you're smart, proof you're valuable, proof you're still the one. And when you've been the closer for years, it becomes part of your identity. So even when you hire reps, even when you build a team, you subconsciously stay attached to the part where you get to be the hero. Here's how it shows up. You join the calls just to help. You tell yourself, I'm just going to listen. Or I'll jump in if the rep needs support. But then the prospect asks a question. You hear your rep stumble, and suddenly you're talking. You're now steering, pitching, and closing. And everyone on the call can feel it. This is still the founder's deal. I've seen this so many times. I had a client who would jump in to help on team calls, and he didn't realize he was stealing deals from his reps in real time. Not intentionally, not because he was a bad guy, because he needed to feel needed. And here's the part most founders don't get. Every time you do that, you train your team that they cannot do it without you. You prove to them over and over that they need you. So what happens? Your reps stop taking ownership. They start waiting for you. They get nervous when you're not there. And you look at the results and go, see? They can't sell like me. But you created that dependency. And it's not because your team is weak. It's because your ego is still running the sales process. And look, this isn't a morale issue. It's a leverage issue. Because the moment your business needs you to close every deal, your business has a ceiling. So the first trap is validation. The second trap is what founders use to justify staying involved. I don't trust my team. Cool. Let's talk about why you don't trust them. That brings us to point 2. You don't trust your team because you haven't built system. Founders love to say, my team just can't sell like me. And sometimes that's true. But the bigger truth is this. They can't sell like you because you've never taught them how you sell. You do sales naturally. You've done it for years. You know exactly what to say, when to say it, how to handle objections, how to frame pricing, how to push without sounding pushy. But none of it's documented. None of it's systematized. So your reps are guessing. They're trying to figure out your method, like it's some secret recipe locked in your brain, and then you wonder why performance is inconsistent. Of course it is, because you hired people into a role where success depends on a process that doesn't exist anywhere except in your instincts. And this is where founders mess up. They blame hiring. They think they need more closers. They think they need killers. They think the team's incompetent. But the real issue, you never systemize what you do naturally. I was working with a client that thought his team was incompetent until they built proper scripts and processes. And when they did, you know what happened. Close rate jumped from 20 to 60%. It's not magic. That's just what happens when you stop relying on talent and start relying on structure. Because when you build the system, ordinary and average people start producing above average results, not because they became geniuses overnight, but because they finally had clarity. So what does system actually mean here? It means you can answer questions like, what's the first 5 minutes of a call supposed to accomplish? What questions do we ask to qualify? How do we position the offer? What language do we use around pricing? What are the top objections and the exact responses? What does a yes sound like? What does a maybe sound like? When do we disqualify? If your team doesn't have those answers in writing, then you don't have a sales team. You have a group of people role-playing sales and hoping it works out. And here's the real kicker. When the system is missing, you have to stay involved. Because the only thing that keeps deals from falling apart is your presence. So founders look at this and go, see, I'm essential. No, you're compensating for a missing foundation. Okay, so maybe you accept that. Maybe you can admit you've been chasing validation and you've been operating without a true system. But there's still one deeper reason founders won't step back. And this one is pure fear. If your business can't run without you closing every single deal, you don't own a business. You have a job. I help founders build sales systems that work without them being in every conversation. If you're ready to stop being the bottleneck in your own growth, grab a free strategy call below. Point 3, you're scared your business will collapse without you. Deep down, a lot of founders aren't scared of losing deals. They're scared of what it would mean if they stepped away. Because if you're not the closer, what if everything collapses? What if your business is way more fragile than you've been telling yourself? What if the whole thing is basically duct taped together and you're the duct tape? That fear keeps founders trapped. So instead of building a business, they build a dependency loop. And the worst part, it feels responsible. It feels like leadership. It feels like we're protecting the company, but it's actually the opposite, because your constant involvement doesn't make the business stronger. It makes it fragile. One of the founders I worked with was terrified to take a vacation, like afraid, like genuinely anxious. He was convinced that if he left for a week, deals would die, leads would stall, and the month would be a disaster. He finally took the vacation. And when he came back, guess what? His team had their best month ever. And that moment broke the spell because he realized something that stings. His presence wasn't protecting the business, it was suffocating it. Sometimes the team can't win because you're still on the field. Because when the founders are always there, everyone hesitates. They double check, they wait, they second guess. But when you step back, people are forced to rise. And yes, there's a messy part of this. Because if you step back too early without a system, things will wobble. So the goal isn't disappear and hope. The goal is build a machine that can run without you. Which brings us to the real identity shift. Your job isn't to be irreplaceable. It's the exact opposite. It's to make yourself replaceable, because that's what creates freedom. That's what creates leverage. That's what creates a business you're not renting, a business you actually own, instead of a job that owns you. So let's recap the real reason you're still selling everything yourself. First, you're addicted to the validation of closing. Second, you don't trust your team because you haven't built systems that make them successful. And third, you're scared that business will collapse without you because deep down, you know you've built it around your involvement. And here's the belief shift that changes everything. The founder's success is measured by how well your business runs without you. Not how impressive you are on a sales call, not how many deals you personally close, not how needed you are. Because the things that make you feel important are usually the things keeping your business small. The real flex is not being the hero. The real flex is building a system that works without a hero. When you build systems that work without you, that's when the real wealth gets created. Not just money, time, freedom, and good old leverage. Look, most founders know they need to step out of the sales process. They have no idea how to do it without everything falling to shambles. That's exactly the problem I solve. I work with founders who want to build sales teams that close deals whether they're in the room or not. If you're tired of being the highest paid salesperson in your company instead of acting like the CEO, book a strategy call with me. Links in the description. And if you want to see the exact framework I used to build a sales team that had $100 million without me closing every single deal, watch this next video where I break down the whole system step by step.